Hi everyone, Eric at Retro Handheld Guides, and today I'll be looking at PSP emulation on the Anbernic RG28XX. Now obviously, PSP emulation on the Anbernic RG28XX is going to be less than ideal for a number of reasons. First, the small 4x3 screen will not lend itself well to playing games in a 16:9 aspect ratio. Second, the lack of a second input in the form of an analog stick means that you are limited to the number of games that use only either the D-pad or the analog stick for input. So, games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where you use the D-pad to switch characters, will not be possible. Overall though, the Anbernic RG28XX is powerful enough to be able to play many PSP games, and so, if you can find some games that don't require both a D-pad and an analog input, and you don't mind a stretch aspect ratio, then why not try some PSP games on it as well. So with that, let's take a look at some PSP emulation on the Anbernic RG28XX. Alright, so before we get started, there's a couple of things that we're going to need to address when it comes to PSP on the RG28XX. So the first thing I want to point out is that the RG28XX does not come with the default standalone PSP emulator, which means that the only thing we have right now is the RetroArch cores. And you can access the RetroArch settings by clicking on the menu up at the top, and you can see here that we are in the RetroArch cores as opposed to standalone PPSSPP. Now that obviously comes with a performance hit, as the standalone will be better for you than the RetroArch cores, but overall this one is still pretty good. So the second thing that I want to address is, obviously with a very small screen, you are also going to probably not want to play this in a 16:9 because you're already limited in the amount of real estate that you have. So I would recommend, if you're going to play PSP, probably just stretch it out to full. It does start on the default as the full screen, so just leave it at that. If you do want to change it, you do have the options to change it. If you go under your options, you can go into your video options and then change your resolution there. There is also the main resolution where you can change it in the settings. You'll have to go into settings and video and then just change your scaling. The scaling is going to be under the aspect ratio. Now keep in mind, this is actually a screen that has been turned on its side, so it is going to assume that your scaling is like this. So you'll need to find the right aspect ratio. It's actually going to be reversed than what you'd normally expect. So if you do want to change it, you can change it there as well. The next thing I want to address is the controls. Now by default, the controls are mapped such that this is your D-pad on the PSP. That works for many of the games. However, there are some games where your D-pad is not going to be your main control option. Instead, your main control option is going to be an analog stick. So for those games where it uses analog stick as your main control, you will want to change your control settings for that game. You can do that under the quick menu, and if you go into the controls, you will go into port 1 controls, and from there you want to change your hat up, down, left, and right. The mapping that you'll want here is to change this all the way over to analog. So left analog minus is up, left analog plus is down, left analog X minus is going to be your left, left analog X plus is going to be your right. So once you do have that all mapped, just back out and then go to the manage remap files and then save your game remap for that particular game, and that will map the D-pad to the analog stick for you. And then the last thing that I wanted to point out is you do still have access to some of your different tweaks for the PSP emulator. You can access that through the options and go into the video options, and you can see here you do have the ability to set your frame skip on. If you turn the frame skip on, you can change this to various amounts of frame skip as well as auto frame skip. So if I do say that the game was using a frame skip, this is how you're going to adjust it here. And then as well, there are a couple of things you can do to help speed up. So you'll want to turn on your lazy texture caching, turn down the spline Bezier curve quality to low. As well, down here at the bottom, down here, there is also going to be your scalings and anisotropic filtering. Just make sure that that's off. Otherwise, once you have all of those set up, then you can go into your manage core options and then just save your content directory options to set those different video options for everything to get some extra performance out of the PSP emulator. So those are a couple things that I do want to point out. Obviously, PSP on this device is going to be a bit of a not a regular experience because of the lack of the analog stick and the small screen, where you probably don't want to have this as a 16:9. Otherwise, you can definitely play some games on here. JRPGs are going to have some small text, but if you're okay with just the, just the tactics or whatever, then you could do that. I found also racing games are decent on this system as well, using the D-pad. So with that, let's take a look at some of the games on the PSP emulator for the RG28XX.
So painful to watch.
Period. Stoll won the draw to Ulanov. Hey, that's a great deke. One-timed it. Lupul shoots the puck into the crowd. About to drop the puck. The Oilers win another face-off. Here's Stoll. Hard shot on net. Ward made the save.
This guy's as sound as they come and keeps his team ahead by one.
I want to go far ahead. Activating combat mode. pata pata boom.